Welcome to the Recon Trader. In today's video, I will share with you a new indicator that I've created over on TradingView, and I use this indicator primarily for day trading purposes on shorter time frames like the 1 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute time frames. And the indicator is the RECON Trader volume weighted bars and bands indicator. And as the name indicates, this indicator really revolves around volume weighted averages, whether that be a volume weighted moving average or a volume weighted adjusted price or average price, which is commonly known as VWAP. And as you can see, if you take a look at the chart here, this is on the BTC USDT perpetual contract 3-minute chart, and that's on the Bybit exchange. You can see there's price action. And you will notice there are sell, which is this S arrow, or buy, which is this B arrow on the chart to indicate possible opportunities to enter a trade. Now, there could be some other rules that you apply, which I will get into my rules here in a moment when we dive a little deeper into the weeds on this indicator. And so with that being said, let's go ahead and jump over here to the chart where I have the RECON volume weighted bars and bands applied to the chart, along with my RECON momentum indicator down here at the bottom applied to the chart. I typically don't use just one indicator when I'm trading, and in fact, the RECON volume weighted bars and bands indicator incorporates two different indicators. It incorporates VWAP, like I mentioned, and a volume weighted moving average. So there's two indicators right there. Now the settings for this indicator will depend on the time frame I'm using, whether it's the 1 minute, 3 minute, or 5 minute. In this case, I'm on the 3-minute chart. And so if we come over here to the settings cog for the indicator, you can see the configuration that I currently have set up. Now this is the default configuration because it's my indicator and I typically use it on the 3-minute chart. And so the period for the moving average, that weighted moving average, is 18. The alpha is 0.09. I do have the bands on the screen currently just to show you what they look like on the screen. However, I can turn those bands off, and that will eliminate a little bit of the noise on the screen. And then for source, I have it set to close because I'm looking for that alert to fire off at the close of the candle. And then I have an offset of 0. The time frame that I'm using is the chart, which again is a 3-minute. And then I also have it checked off to actually wait for that time frame to close. Now, something else you might want to adjust over here under the style tab would be the bar color. I have bar color set up whether or not the indicator is bullish or bearish. If it's bearish, then I have the bars showing up as red. Even bars that are going up will show as red, where if I turn the bar color off, you can see all the bars in this area here that were once red are now mixed with green and red depending on the direction of the actual price action. I prefer to have the bar color on the screen because, again, as far as this indicator is concerned, we are still in a bearish situation, at least with this price action, until you get this buy signal. Then you start to get some of these green bars. And again, if I shut that off, you'll see there are some red bars mixed in with that. However, it's still considered bullish until the price rolls back over. And then again, turn the bar colors on, and we get a whole bunch of red bars all through that entire move. If I toggle the bar colors off, you can see there are some green bars mixed in with the red bars. However, this was a big bearish move, and this feature can actually help you eliminate some of the noise and see that the true trend, especially here, is down or bearish and not bullish, even though you might get a couple green candles. Alright, so that's enough jaw-jacking on the settings. Let's take a look at a few of the trades and how they would have played out. Now, the first one, we get the sell order right here. And for me, on this particular strategy, I'm looking at a 1-to-1 risk versus reward ratio. So I need to be right about 50% of the time. And so far, this indicator has been very accurate. It has a success rate of about 80% to 90%. And so with that type of win rate, I'm able to do a 1-to-1 risk versus reward ratio, which you can see here. And so before I actually enter a trade, I need to know my risk versus reward ratio. So when I get a sell signal like we do here, I look back at a possible level that could act as support or resistance. In this case, I would think that would be resistance. So anything that breaks out above this level back here, then the trend may have reversed on me. So I'm going to put my stop loss up at around this level back here. Occasionally, depending on price action, I might actually just put my stop loss right above or below VWAP, as VWAP is part of this indicator and part of my rules. To get short, the price has to be below VWAP. To get long, the price has to be above VWAP. And so in this case, if I just put my stop just above VWAP, then I'd be looking at a profit of 1.5%, which would be at the top of these candles here. Or like you can see on this particular trade, I actually put it up here around the top of these candles, and that put my profit at 3%, which I end up hitting on the wick of this candle here. Now the next signal that fires off is a buy signal, but remember the rule I just mentioned: in order to get long, the price has to be above VWAP, and VWAP is this green and red line you see running through the screen here, and right now it's red because price action is bearish, and the price does not breach above VWAP, so I would not take this trade. The next trade I would take would be on this signal here. And again, I need to figure out my stop loss level, which would be back at the top of these candles here and just before VWAP. Again, a breakout above VWAP typically is a trend change indication. So I would be looking for the price to still run into resistance, which it has multiple times right in this area. That gives me a 2% stop loss. Risk versus reward would mean I need 2% for a winning trade. You can see we hit that here. And again, on both of these trades, I'm never in danger of getting stopped out. And in fact, if I let this trade run, there's a whole lot more profit, but I'm not trying to be a hero here and win the war with just one trade. I'm just trying to win these little battles and let those wins accumulate. Now, as this bottoms out, we do get another buy signal fire off, but again, well below VWAP, so it's not a trade I would take based on this strategy. However, the next signal that does fire off right here, I would go ahead and take that trade. And again, I would have my stop up here around VWAP, where you can see does act as resistance many times, and this price action got rejected. So again, we're looking at about a 2% move, and so I need a 2% move towards the downside on this short in order to have a winning trade. And it looks like this candle wicks down but doesn't get low enough, so we end up getting stopped out. So this one's a loser. The next signal that does fire off again is a buy signal right here. However, we're in a trade currently, and when it fires off, it's below VWAP. So it wouldn't be a trade I'd take because it's below VWAP. Also, I'm in a trade. I haven't been stopped out, and so I don't flip based on these signals. I wait for my trade to actually play out. In this case, on the very next candle, when it breaks above VWAP, I get stopped out. However, the price immediately rolls over and we get another sell or short signal. And in this case, we look back for our stop loss, again targeting around VWAP. We're looking for that to hold, and that gives us another 2% stop loss. So I would be looking for a 2% move towards the downside, which we get on the wick of this candle here, and that ends up being a winner. So now we're 3-1. Alright, so the next signal that fires off that's a valid signal is going to be this buy signal right here. And you can see in this case, the price does actually close above VWAP. VWAP has now flipped green as the price action is above VWAP. I set my stop loss back down here at the bottom of these candles, which is at around 2%. And so I'm shooting for a 2% profit. And you can see we hit that on this particular candle here. I think there's a little wick that it actually hits out on. The very next candle also wicks up and would have taken us out. Or, as you can see, the price action does continue up even higher. So there's another winner. Now the next signal is for sell or get short, but you can see we're above VWAP. So I would not take that trade. That would not be within my rules. And so I wait for the next valid signal. If this price does eventually roll over, get down below VWAP, and I get a sell signal, I would then take that. However, the next signal that fires off is a buy signal. And so again, I put my stop loss down here around VWAP, right at the bottom of these candles where we kind of bottomed out. And that would be a 3% stop loss. And so my target price for profit is going to be up here around 3%. And you can see we get it on this big candle move here. And then the price chops sideways, and honestly, I don't want to be involved in this price action, and that's another reason why I have the settings dialed into where I have them dialed in at, is all this chop here, a fake pump up, kind of a fake pump down. I'm not involved in all of this noise. However, a sell signal does eventually break out when the price does go below kind of this lower level of the chop. However, because again, it's above VWAP, I avoid this trade, and in reality, it may or may not have been a winner. It might have wicked out as a winner down here, but the risk is not worth it as the overall trend is above VWAP, thus the trend is still bullish. Now, the next signal we do get is a buy signal, so I look at my stop loss down here around the bottom of this previous sell-off, which is around a 5% move. Now, I just realized this whole time I've been talking about 2%, 3%, and you see that it says 0.5% as far as the amount of the move of that price action. I use 10x leverage. Thus, if you apply 10x leverage to any of these trades, it's 10 times greater than the amount you're seeing. So in this case, 0.5% move is a 5% move in my favor. A 0.2% move is a 2% move when you apply the amount of leverage that I use. Now, with that in mind, 10x leverage is really high leverage, and I do not recommend any of you FNGs using 10x leverage. In fact, it's extremely high risk, and more than likely, if you don't have the experience to read this price action, you will blow up your account if you're using anything more than probably 4 or 5x. I use 10x, but I also have years and years and years of experience trading. So with that all being said, let's get back to it. And in this particular case, a move from my entry down to the bottom of these candles would be 0.5%. Multiplied by 10x leverage would be 5%. So I need a 5% or 0.5% move towards the top side. And in this case, I get that 0.5% move. On the wick of this candle here, you can see actually the price action continues to move up. However, my trade would close here as a winner on the wick of this candle here. And in fact, this is a red candle. You can tell by the outline and the wicks of the candle. However, because I have the bars set to be whatever the trend currently is, it shows as a green body with red wicks and outlines. So we chalk up another win. As you can see, the price action pumps. So I do miss out on all of this, but I'm not concerned about it. So far, I'm real happy with my win rate. Now, the next signal that pops up is a sell signal as this price starts to roll over. However, the price is way above VWAP. VWAP is way down here. So I really have no interest in getting involved in this trade. However, a few bars later, we get a buy signal. Again, looking at my stop loss, more than likely down at the bottom of these bars here. I could also go towards the bottom of these bars if I want to play it safe, especially with the price being so far away from VWAP. But for this example, if we shoot for the bottom of these bars, we're looking at 3%. Or I think the bottom of these bars would have been around 2%, or again, 0.2 or 0.3%. But with that leverage, we're talking 2 or 3%. So I'm looking for a 0.3% move or a 3% move towards the top side. And obviously I get it pretty quickly within a couple candles on this huge candle right here where it pumps. And so we chalk up another winner. Now the price rolls over, another sell signal fires off. However, again, way above VWAP. There's a lot of open air there, so I don't want to get involved with that. And so then the price kind of chops along. I get a buy signal, and I would put my stop loss again down here around the bottom of where all these wicks and everything are coming in at. Off of this previous dump, this appears to be a level of support. And so I put my stop loss down there, which again is 0.3% or 3%. So I need a 3% move towards the top in order to get that 1-to-1 risk reward ratio. However, we don't get it. Price rolls over. I get stopped out for a loss right on this candle here. And you can see this wick gets real close to our target, but close doesn't cut it. So we take another loss. I think that's our second loss out of probably 8 or 9 trades. And so we'll look for one more trade. I think that'll put us at 10 trades, and then we can do some easy math as far as the win rate goes, as far as a percentage. And the next signal sell. However, I was already in a trade and we're way above VWAP, so I would avoid that. You can see the price does actually sell off right to VWAP. And what does VWAP do? It acts as support when the price is above it. And when the price is below it, it often acts as resistance. And so I wait for my next signal. Now the chart time changes, and so VWAP is going to change, as that's a daily indicator. It will change with the time change. And so we get a reset of VWAP. So it goes from down here up to here. Price sells off. Eventually price gets back above VWAP. We get a buy signal, and I would have my stop loss down here, which is a pretty good distance away from VWAP. However, because VWAP reset not that long ago from this level back here, which is also this level where the price did find support at previous VWAP, that is more than likely where I would set my stop loss. However, I could also set it right up here around VWAP, which would be 0.2% versus this 0.4%. So I could be looking at a 4% or a 2% win, or I need that type of move in order to be profitable. In this case, I set it at 0.4 or 4%. And so I'm looking for a 4% move to get that 1-to-1 risk versus reward. And we get that 0.4% move here. So that's a 4% winner on the 10th trade. And so I think that's a pretty good pool of trades to select from. And so if you're paying attention, the strategy nailed 8 winners and had 2 losers and an 80% win rate with a 1-to-1 risk versus reward ratio is profitable. So with that all being said, if you want to add this indicator to your charts, for starters, you're going to need to be a RECON Trader YouTube channel member, as this indicator will only be available through a link in the description of the video that's only going to be available to my YouTube channel members. It's a private indicator. As you can see here, there is a lock right here on the indicator. It is a private indicator, so you can't just search for this indicator in TradingView. It won't be in the library. You actually need a link to the indicator page. And so you will need to click the join button over on YouTube for RECON Trader. And once you join the RECON Trader YouTube channel as a member, you will have access to my members only videos, and those member only videos have links to all of my private indicators. Now for my members, when you click on the link in the video description, that will bring you over here to the page for the indicator. You just need to scroll down until you see add to favorite indicators, give that a click, and then go to your charts, click on indicators, click on favorites, and then scroll down until you find the RECON Trader volume weighted bars and bands. Give that a click, and that will add the indicator to your chart, where you can then click on settings and adjust the settings to meet your strategy requirements. So that pretty much wraps it up for this video. If you like this video, do me a favor, spike a like. If you like these type of videos, you might want to shoot that subscribe button. If you have any questions or comments, drop them in the comment section down below. And until next time, remember, never send your money into battle without first doing your recon. See you in the next video.